Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 7025 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars. On hot7025fm.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Yeah. Jones. Hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams, and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.
All right. It's that time once again. The Greg Deville Let's Talk Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Greg Deville. Let's have some fun today. Let's talk about interest rates. How about that? Interest rates right now, as many of you know, have increased a bit, which is causing the home prices to deflate in price, which is great, right? And also, I want to speak to how the rental requirement. Now, the rental requirement, I was listening to conversation on the phone this morning with one of my agents there at the office, and they were going over with the property management about some of the rental requirements that they have at least 200 properties, and they have rentals available, and how their requirements. And as I was listening to what their requirements are to get a rental, and I let the agent complete the conversation with the property management. I wrote a few things down because I thought, wow, rental requirements. Number one, there's no rent cap, right? Number one, means they can go up next year without cause. They don't have to have reasoning. It's not like some other states where they have a rent cap. You can't exceed 3% an annual year or whatever that might be for some states. But this particular state of Nevada has no rental cap. Now, they mentioned you had to have a 600 better FICO score. I thought, that's about what we need to have to purchase a home. I thought, okay. So he's saying in order to get a rental, you need to have at least a 600. I said, I could sell you a home with a 580 credit score. In fact, I can sell a veteran a home with a low 560 FICO score. So rental, it's a little more challenging to rent than it is to purchase. And again, without any caps on renting, meaning annually they can go up $300, $400, $500 because there is no cap. Versus owning, you're in a fixed mortgage rate, meaning for 30 years, you're fixed at that rate. Unless, of course, you refinance down the road or you do a HELOC on the property. But listening to that conversation, they wanted to also do a federal background check for rentals. And I thought, when you purchase a home, there is no federal background check that is required. I'm thinking, it's more challenging and more difficult for you to get into a rental these days than to just purchase a home. I'm Greg Deville, 702-349-0162. Listen, contact my team, because I'm telling you right now, listening to the requirements for rental, if you could pay rent, you could pay a mortgage. So they do a federal background check, right? Now, the difference with working with Deville Realty is we have no money down programs. Now, when you talk about these programs that, these rental requirements, the fact, again, they don't have a cap on the rent. They can charge whatever they want. In fact, I've heard recently a 2-bedroom off Cheyenne to Decatur renting for as high, a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,500 a month. 2-bedroom apartment. I remember the day we could get a 3-bedroom house for $12, right? And depending on the area, you may have paid more. But of course, it depended on the area. But the requirements to rent are by far greater, because if you have a 401k on your job, I can sell you a home with a low 580 FICO score. The guy said this morning that you have to have at least a 600 FICO score. And they do a federal background check. We're not federal background checking you here. If you've got a job, I don't care what your past looks like, they're not holding your past when it comes to purchasing a home. It's all about, if you could pay a mortgage, if you could pay rent, you could pay a mortgage. Now, the credit score determines your rate when it comes to purchasing. So that's why it's imperative that you work on your credit. Now, many have had a BK, a bankruptcy, right? With the bankruptcy, you can again purchase a home after 2 years after discharge. Now, I've sold many families who've had to have a new beginning, and their old home was in a bankruptcy. A lot of things change. So if you had a bankruptcy and you put the home in it, it might be a 3-year extenuating circumstances, right? Now, those of you that has had a foreclosure, it may be 4 years from the time of the foreclosure notice that it was actually, the term I want to do it, that it was recorded, from the time it was recorded. So from the time the foreclosure was recorded, that it's done, 4 years from then, again, we'd set you with a lender. Recently, I had a lender tell me their expiration date is August from the bankruptcy. They'll be discharged in August, which means that the person that did the bankruptcy will be available to purchase a home per the federal housing, the FHA administration. They'll be available in August. So that's great hope. Wouldn't you agree? That's great expectation to know that, in August, I'm good to go. So what we recommend is, in the meantime, continue to elevate your credit scores. Continue to get your numbers higher, because remember, the lower the score, the higher the rate in many cases. So you want a better interest rate, you need to have a better FICO. At least a 680 or better will allow you to get a better interest rate. So with that being said, let's take that opportunity to do what we need to do to get in a better position. Now, I understand many of you are in a lease. Mr. Deville, what do? I'm in a lease. Let me say this. I would still recommend, let's talk to the lender, right? I have about 8 or 9 I work with. Speak to the lender and find out where you are. Because remember this, it's never no, it just may be not right now. But here's a game plan, here's a strategy that we want to lay out for you to put you in a position so that what? You'll know what to do, and when your possibility of purchasing would be available. Again, I'm Greg Deville, 702-787-7559. Greg Deville, Team Deville, 702-787-7559. Now, let's say you have a loved one, your mom, your family, your TT, whomever we want to talk about that may be in a position to look at purchasing. Get them out of the rental. Maybe they didn't get a chance to hear the Facebook Live or, hear the live broadcast here at Hot 702.5. But the advantage is they have you. and you could share this Facebook Live post so that they can get the opportunity to be a part of what you're hearing. Again, Greg Deville, 702-787-7559. The rental market increase with no cap is dangerous, because if a landlord decides next year he wants to go up $300, now we already feel like it's expensive rent right now, right? 2-bedroom, $1,500 a month. Wow. Okay. But now, depending on what area, that same 2-bedroom might be $2,200 a month, because it's all about the location. So remember, depending on where you want to live, if you're going west of Decatur, it's $20,000 increase to be west of Decatur. Now, as you progress in time, don't forget that FICO score is very important, but these programs that are helpful, you will have to have at least a 640 or a 620 or better. But I can get you home. If you have a 401k on your job, as I mentioned, you very well may be able to get into that 401k if you have enough money stored up in your 401k. Now, the way you find out is you contact your 401k through your job and ask how much money is available to you to borrow for purchasing a home. Remember, it is without penalty when purchasing a home. Okay? So now, if you borrow that money for any other reason other than purchasing a home, there will be a 10% assessed to that loan that you're borrowing from. So without penalty, remember, to waive the 10 is to purchase property. Now, those of you that own property today, maybe you want to sell it and use the equity to do what? Buy a larger property, or maybe either downsize. I know recently we did a transaction where they wanted a pool. They wanted more space as their family was growing. They had a nice home, but it just wasn't large enough for what they felt they needed for a growing family. And not to mention they wanted a swimming pool. And so how did they do that? How are you able to get what you want from what you have? By taking the opportunity to, one, either sell or do a home equity line of credit, which we like to call a HELOC, right? Take the equity out of the current property. Now, remember, I was talking to an agent on the way to studio this afternoon. Remember, as values go down on homes, you may have lost $20,000, $30,000 in equity. Whereas had you jumped on it sooner, you would have gotten more. But because, watch this, because you're waiting, you're losing equity. So last year, the same home that sold last year may be only selling right now that sold last year for $4.25. Now it's only worth $385, $390. So now you lost $30,000. Well, that goes off of your value for your home. So why wait and let the values? Now remember, as the interest rates increase, it causes the home to decrease, because buyers aren't spending as they were back in 2020, 2021, right? So they're taking an opportunity to get a home, but maybe not spending as much as they were approved for. So if they were at $550, they might be spending in the low 400s now, only because to compensate for the higher interest rate. Now, is it still a good time to buy? Absolutely. Because if the landlord goes up on the rent, what are you going to do? Rent's high. I'm just letting you know. At least pay back into your own pocket. At least pay back into your own, equity, because as you're paying the rent, you're paying into equity just for the landlord. Now, when we talk about getting your credit right, for those of you that this matters to, is your credit is very, very vitally important, because the credit will determine what interest rate you'll receive. So even when buying a car, right? Remember, buying a car, they shop around for a rate, but rates are high in purchasing cars. But because we want that new car, it may have been your dream car. It may be one that you just really like. But I have people right now paying $900 to $1,200 for a really nice car because they had risky credit, right? The interest rates are 22, 27%. But they say, but you can get it today. And what does that do to most consumers? Is we want it today. But as the months go by, those payments continue to revolve, right? You're like, wow. But the excitement of it at the moment, and that's where they get you on that emotional rush for that new car. I can roll today. I'm going to kill them. Got this new Charger, whatever that might be. right? But keep in mind, if you buy a new car and you don't have real estate, you're putting the cart before the horse. It's an old term, I know. But the fact remains is that you're not going in the right direction when it comes to investing. So maybe let's wait on the new car. Let's buy a set of tires. But let's do this. Let's be smart with our finances and stop paying another man's mortgage, and let's start creating wealth through equity. Now, if I just want a new car, I can pull equity out of my home and pay cash for the car. Because remember, the mortgage payment and a new car note, vacations aren't going to come as frequently as they were, right? So keep in mind, a new car note at where they are today, at the prices of a new car, especially these real muscle cars, right? Men, we love muscle. Ladies like more of a luxury, cute little, Lexus, what have you, girly, right? And that's okay. I mean, it's okay, like the little Lexus, the little Toyota. And that's okay, it's okay. Or that little C-Class Mercedes, that little C-Class, Again, stay away from car lots. If you do not own a home, do not. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm giving you sound wisdom and advice that first things first. And many of you have college tuition. And so, that has to be included in your debt, right? Because when a lender talks to you about what are your debts, do you have student loan? Are you receiving the child support although you have an order? Because remember, if you're not getting the funding from child support, but yet you have the order, you cannot account that income because you're not receiving it. So the lender looks at everything that you tell him that you have coming in. Then they look at the debt that you have going out. Now, many lenders do not want you to exceed 48%. That means you're just about living on half of your income. And so it doesn't give much room to what you can afford. So that's why they like you to pay down your debt, pay down those credit cards, refinance your car, so that it allows you less payments and more buying power. But these are things that the Greg Deville Show gives you for information that you can better get where you're trying to go, and that's having your own piece of the American dream. Now, millennials, you're out there, you're listening, 2 years on the job. You've got to be at least 18 years old about purchase. But many of you 22 my daughter just completed college. Guess what? Now you're getting ready to get on the line. 2 years down the road, you got this job, you're making money. Guess what? You can purchase a condo, a little townhouse. But guess what? It's yours, right? I was speaking to someone today, and they mentioned they don't have a garage. Maybe that's a dream for you, is to have a garage where you live. Maybe living with a carport is not your vision of owning, right? Maybe it's not. But guess what? Take care of your credit, save your money, and put money aside with purpose. Many times we like all the new fad. We like to look good. We want to shine. We want to bling and bright like a diamond. But we go to somebody's rental property. And so we've got to, if you're over 30, you really need to hear this. Now, millennials, you get a little chance, get that little break. You can rent for a little while. But if you're smart, you went to college, you got your job, get you a little townhome. Don't just keep paying but maybe you can't afford where you like to live, so you have to wait till you get an increase on the job, what have you. But again, let's have a game plan. Let's have a strategy how we're going to do something valuable, how we're going to do something important to better our careers in our lives and our funding. Because remember, money matters. Your money matters. You owe yourself to be great. You owe it to yourself. But being great in investments, having a portfolio, knowing what's important versus stuff. You're going out and get the new G5 wagon, but yet you pull up to an apartment. I mean, the fact that you got this beautiful car under a carport, but again, maybe we went the wrong way. Maybe we could have dealt with the Hyundai. Could have went with the little Lexus for a minute, right? But then even Lexus is high. Maybe we should just hold on for a minute and let's get us a condo, because we could start building equity. And as the value goes up, we could take a little bit of equity and put a decent down payment on something that the payments aren't as high. But how do we build wealth when we go to work and live every day? How do you build wealth when your job pays the same amount every month and you have the same expenses every month? How do you build wealth? It's called through real estate. It's called through equity. And the only way you're going to get it is you got to own it, because you're building the wealth through the equity for someone else. 702-787-7559. Veterans, don't forget, take advantage of what's available to you. Now, it's one thing to say I can get it with no money down because I'm VA, but to not take advantage of the no money down is another story. You know, it's like having a key to a car, but you're taking the bus. Like taking the bus in the rain, and you have keys, but you're taking the bus in the rain. So why not use what's available to you to better what? Better you, and in the long run, you're paying equity into your own investment portfolio. Now you have the power to take that equity and get something larger. Because people say, I can only afford a condo, but you only rent an apartment. Condo's an apartment, basically, right? But you own it. So you have inside of the interior you own, not the common space. But when you rent, you own the inside of the apartment, just not the common space, but you own it for 30 days. I'm trying to put you in a situation where you can own it for years until you decide to relocate, not because the landlord decided to sell. You follow me? So there are benefits to owning real estate that you'll find later in the long run, which is why landlords never sell investment properties, because they can always borrow from the investment property. You can borrow from yourself, right? You can borrow up to 80% of the equity. It's your own property. That's what the landlord is doing when your rent goes up. He either borrowed from it or bought a new car. Or he paid down some of his own bills and raised your rent so you could pay the money back that he borrowed from himself, but you live in the property. That's why smart investors never sell their homes to purchase another home. They take the equity out of the home and purchase another home and get a renter to pay that mortgage while he pays this mortgage. Why? Because you're going to get two properties creating equity, which is creating wealth. You get it? So this is the language that the Greg Deville Show gives every Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. on Hot 702.5. Is to share with you common sense ideas on building wealth. Your portfolio, by the time you're 30, if you start now, you can have at least 4 units and a house. 4 units and a house. So not only are you a homeowner, but you're an investor in real estate. Boom, man. That's it. That's it. That's giving you mad game. And the investors have been doing it for years. This is nothing new. This information has been out and people have been using it. We just have not been privy. No one's come on radio to share with us what you can do to better your income, your financial portfolio, and guess what? Your real estate portfolio. So if you start as 21, 22, listen, watch this. I can sell you a 4-plex apartment unit on a FHA loan with 3.5% down. I can sell it to you with a 560 credit score if you're a veteran. 4-plex apartment building. The only caveat is you have to live in one of the units for at least 1 year, depending on your loan. Some loans require 3 years. There are loans that can require 1 year, depending on which loan you qualify for. So when I say it may be up on Hollywood, but it's still a 4-plex. It's 1 year to maybe 3 years. But it's a great, great investment, because once you stay there for those, let's go with the 3-year option. The 3 years are up. You can now take the income from the fourplex because it is what? Considered income, and you put the income together with your on-the-job income. Now remember, you lived in this unit for 3 years paying no rent, no mortgage. Why? Because the other 3 units did what? They paid the mortgage. So you're still working on the job. You're going to put that $1,800 that you've been paying as if you're still paying it into an account. Maybe a money market account, put into an account that is going to create residual income, a little interest on it while it's sitting there. Because you understand, the banks loan your money, they give you 2%, they loan it for 7 and make 5. I mean, you do understand the strategy of the market, correct? If not, that's a lesson for another day. But here's the plan. So we're going to take the advantage of a fourplex unit, live in one of the units. Remember, because you don't pay a mortgage or rent, the other 3 units are going to pay that unit. You're going to save every dime of your money on that rental side. Now, in 3 years, you'll have what we talk about. Let's say you're paying $1,800 a month, right? So in 3 years, 1 year you had $26,000 saved up, paying that $1,800 a month, right? So now $1,800 a month times that 1 year, $26,000. Now times that 3 years, you may have $80,000. Now that 3 years is up, you're going to go to the bank now, or to the lender, right? Not a bank, but preferably a broker, financial broker. Now, because you've saved that $1,800 every month for the last 3 years, and you've lived off the rest of your income. Remember, don't get too, because you're living in an apartment. It may only be 2 bedrooms. Or you maybe put the 3-bedroom. Maybe you'll take the 3. But you want to rent the 3. Why? Because you want to get more rent so that it pays the mortgage. Because remember, we're freeing up your income. You follow me? Now you have that $1,800 a month times that 3 years. Where you at? 80, 90, let's hypothetically say $80,000. So now you have 80 saved. You could save more, but you have the 80. And now you're going to go qualify for a loan with one of our lenders. You got $80,000 to put down on the next house. That unit that you've lived in is going to become a rental now. So that money that you were saving, because remember, you live there rent free. So now you're going to rent that 3-bedroom, let's say $1,600. Now keep in mind, the other 3 bedrooms have been paying the mortgage for the last 3 years. You've been saving that $1,800 that you would have been paying had it not been a fourplex. But now you're going to rent the 3-bedroom, let's say $1,600 a month. Even if we did it for $1,500. That's a $1,500 coming to you every month. That's going to go now towards what? Towards the home that you're going to Man, this is good stuff. It's powerful. Keep in mind, to build a financial portfolio, you need information, right? You need a game plan. You need a strategy. Otherwise, you just a man taking a walk, wondering what to do. Greg Deville, Team Deville, Deville Realty Group, 702-787-7559. Now, if we can take that strategy and you can live in that apartment, let's say 3 years, rent free, and then in 3 years you move out, you rent it, now it becomes an investment. It's residual income. How do we take residual income? What do we do with it? We put it towards the next mortgage. Or maybe now you want to go buy that ideal car that you wanted. Well, you got $1,500 income right there. So maybe you go get that muscle car. You go get that big body Benz that you've been looking at. Because why? You got this nice home now because you put $80,000 on this house, which is $80,000 off the principal purchase, right? Your down payment. This is what you're gonna do with that money. Put that money down so that the house you were getting at $580, you put $80 down on it. And you qualifying at $500,000. Well, let's do this. Let's say you don't want a home price that large, whatever it might be. But this is the advantage what landlords have been doing for ages, is they've been buying a little house, stay there a few years, build the equity up. But don't forget, the income coming in from the fourplex is considered as income. It's income now. It's residual income. You can use it toward putting in what you make on the job adding that leftover income to what you're making on the job. So now your income looks strong. You've owned it for 3 years. You paid your bills on time. Your credit is 700, 800, whatever. You have learned to be disciplined in your finances. You find out that buying all that Michael Kors stuff really keeps no value. Because if you buy a belt for $85, you couldn't sell it back to them for $85. I don't know if you could pawn it for $20. But you paid $85 for the belt because it had an MK. Listen, when you invest in another man's name, it doesn't always bring you wealth. Now, there are some things that has value and retains value, such as, let's talk about Rolex. Do you wonder why Rolls-Royce don't have commercials? They don't have to advertise. Their value doesn't require that, because they don't need to advertise, because if you can't afford it, you just can't afford it. Their product has name for itself. It's built a reputation. So now, how do you ever get to Rolls-Royce status? How do you ever get to living in the big body Benz status, right? How do you go from Honda to Lexus? How do you go from Lexus to Mercedes? How do you go Mercedes to double R's, to the Bentleys, right? To the Alfa Romeo, whatever it is you like. How do you go from there? How do you ever, on a regular 9 to 5, build a portfolio that will take you from an average 9 to 5, maybe 7-figure to, larger numbers? But how do you even get to a 6-figure? Let's ask that question. One of the ways that I have been given the gift for educating is equity, home ownership, real estate. Those are the things that is required of you to get to that next level, keeping a 9 to 5. Remember, you'll never become a wealthy person working for someone else. You'll do well, but you'll never get to that plateau. It wasn't designed for you to have a 9 to 5 and never become a billionaire. It just wasn't designed. Because if the billionaire hires you, what makes you pass him? He's the inventor of the business. And the only way you're going to do it is to create your own empire. But many have started through real estate, insurance, investments. Some people love the Bitcoin. Whatever is your angle, be committed, but keep a real estate portfolio on your desk. One that is yours, one that you live and swear by. Because even as a veteran, even if you get a home as a veteran, in 3 to 5 years, it has value in it. We went from in 5 years having $238,000 in equity. The advantage is you can borrow from the equity, right? You can borrow from your equity. Use that equity that you've taken this money out. Many have done what is called a refinance. This is not the market so much for refinance, because many of you have a lower rate than where the market is right now. But the HELOC would be great for a homeowner today. Now, those of you who do not own a home, a HELOC doesn't make sense because you wouldn't even understand. But to those of you that own a home and want to figure out how I can get more property, how I can generate residual income from what I have before I lose the value in it all the way. Because remember, the same house that last year sold for $4.25 is now $380. So we lost that $40,000, right? So that means you lost it in that home equity line of credit. So how are we going to make this work for us? What are we going to do? Let's do it now. Let's take the equity now and let's make a move with something. Now, there's some other things you could do with that home equity line of credit. Remember, I'm not a lender, but this is food for thought, right? When you own a home, let's say you want to do improvements. Let's say you want granite counters, you want new cabinets, you want laminate flooring now, you want to pull all the carpet up, do tile and laminate. You want to paint the interior, exterior, you want to put a roof on it. How do you do those things when you own a home, but yet you don't have the funding readily available? It's called a home equity line of credit, which you can only receive when you own property. Those are the advantages. You know what I wanted? I wanted turf in my front yard and my back. I didn't want to cut another grass. I didn't want to replace another sprinkler head. I was done with it. I always had a beautiful lawn, But the work it took for me to maintain it, making sure the sprinklers don't come on a certain time of day that burns the grass. Now I just have artificial turf. And I bought premium so it stays green, deep, deep green. And that's what I like. But we were able to do it by simply using equity in the home. And so, but you've got to own a home first. But these are benefits. So we talked about owning the home, doing residual income, taking the opportunity to make things happen, go to that next level, buy some income property. But don't forget, you can start off as your first-time home buyer with a fourplex. So I want to give that to you, veterans fourplex. Because if you're young enough, you got one, maybe two kids, and you could sacrifice. If you have no children, this would be ideal, right? You could take the 2-bedroom, rent the 3-bedroom because there's more rent entailed, so that there's more income that pays that mortgage. Because the idea on a fourplex is to live mortgage free, letting the other 3 units pay the mortgage. Now, if you buy a home, you've got to pay that mortgage. But we started off the show talking about how rental industry and the requirements for rentals. You know, the guy was saying you have to have at least a 600 or better FICO score. Well, I can get you home with a 580. He said you got to have a 600 or better. And then they talked about federal background check. I don't have to have a federal background check to purchase a home. The requirement for buying, I can have a low 580. No money down programs to help. And did I say when you look at getting a fourplex, you can get that through the no money down program? It offers that to you if you qualify. Now, the no money downs begin at least a 620. Not that far away if you got a 600. Now, many of you are ready right now. You don't even realize it because you never made the contact with Deville Realty Group. 702-787-7559. Now, if you're a first-time buyer, the rates right now someone that did ask me, rates right now about 6.85. But guess what? It's high, I agree. But so is rent with no ROI. So why do we keep putting into something we don't get a return on our investment, but I can yet get a return if I pay 6.25 or 6.85 or 7%? Let's say 7%. It just means I'm qualified at 600,000. I'm only going to purchase in 400 to low fives, so that I don't have the higher rate or mortgage payment. I'll just be able to bring it down a little bit. But remember, it's an investment. To invest takes faith, courage, and to make a move. Now, with Team Deville, we show you with the highly educated lenders that we work with, we team with, that gives great information. It's not just about getting you into a deal. It's about making sense, showing you how to make sense of your monies. Because if you're renting, you're not making sense. You're making somebody's payments, which doesn't make sense. You follow me? So again, talking about these programs. Now, the next class is going to be June 10th. Now, shout out to the I had about 46 students, attendees in our this past Saturday class. So remember, every second Saturday of each month for the last 6 years, June 10th is our next home buyer education. Government will give you funding. You need to be educated on home ownership. Now, the education piece is valuable in that you learn so much about homeowners insurance, home warranty, what title does, what the real estate professionals do, what the lender does, right? You get so much education. You learn the difference between homeowners insurance and a home warranty. Many don't know the difference. Why would I need a home warranty and I got homeowners insurance? Come to the class. Learn of the difference between the two. And that's what education does, right? It empowers us to be smarter on something that we knew little of, right? So, again, June 10th, 8:30 until 3. To register for that class, I'm going to need you to contact 702-515-4100. Again, 702-515-4100. That's the home buyer education class. You register there to get yourself a seat. Seating is limited. So we need you to register, or if you have a family member. Now remember, husband and wives will need to attend together. If you're on the loan, well, if you're husband and wives, you're more than likely be on the home loan together. So we like to have you attend. Now, if one of you just can't, one can, and then the next one the next month, fine. 702-515-4100. That's for the down payment assistance program class that Deville Realty is sponsoring for the CPLC. Now, that class is held right there at Bonanza and Maryland Parkway. There's an old credit union building there. The HUD agency CPLC program purchased that building, and now it's not a bank, but we're banking on you to start creating wealth through equity. Now, remember, the new PA funding for minority buyers is available. We have a program called The Wish that's giving back 4-to-1 match. But now recently, this new program rolling out is where you can double programs together. You can couple them together, giving you a greater amount, closer to $39,000. For more information, contact 702-787-7559. So whether it's a FHA, a conventional, a VA loan. Now remember, VA, your FICOs aren't required to be as high as the conventionals or the FHA. So remember, I can go as low 500, 560 for a veteran, a VA loan to be funded. So remember, there's no money down, but there is a funding fee that is tied into the loan. Okay? So all that information, you can go to our website, DevilleRealty.com. You can look at the information online. Look back to this Facebook Live. It will be posted. There's so much information to be given. Clearly the timing is just far spent today. So we're going to get ready. There's a big event going on. We're going to make our way out of here. We're excited about the upcoming week that'll be coming here shortly, the Memorial Day weekend. Oh, wow. It's going to be a boaters weekend. We're going to have so much fun out there on the water, and the weather's going to be great. The water's going to be warm, and we're just going to have fun. But now, in having fun, I want you to have fun and start creating wealth through equity, okay? So I'm going to wind it down for today. I appreciate all of you tuning into my Facebook Live post. We are excited again to speak with you, to speak to me directly about selling your home. If you're in default in your mortgage, don't forget I can sell your home, save your equity. If you got a foreclosure notice, I can help you through that, get you out of the trouble that you're in, and get you into having equity in your pocket, that equity that's in the home. Sell it and save it, right? We could sell the equity, sell the home, save the equity. Many have walked away with over $150,000. That equity, paid the loan back, paid some bills, walked away with $150,000. So why be in trouble and lose it? Why not sell it before they take it and you lose equity, okay? So again, Greg Deville, contact me directly if you need to sell that home, save that equity, or if you want to sell it and purchase another home, contact me directly, 702-349-0162. My direct contact, 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, Deville Realty Group, the name you need to know right here in the Valley. I'll talk to you next Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m., right here on Hot 702.5 FM, where we love having fun talking about creating wealth through equity. I'll talk to you then. Until then, may God's best be yours.
Jones, hey, Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing.